morning, students. Dear students, just we are in the yesterday's class. We are all learned something about the unit called Earth, our living planet, in geography of 8th standard. So, in that unit, we already studied something about introductional aspects of Earth, its size, shape, and water bodies on the Earth and continents. Those aspects studied under the previous classes. After the completion of those aspects, today we are going to learning something about latitude and longitudes. Latitudes and longitudes. Latitudes and longitudes. Okay, ಇವತ್ತಿನ ತರಗತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ. So dear students, how do we understand the location of the place, direction and distance between the places? Can you tell me, how do we understand the location? How do we understand the location, direction and distance between places? See, this is the question arises within all of us, isn't it? Yes, definitely. For that purposes, if you want to answer for this question, we must understand something about latitudes and longitudes. With the help of these things, we can easily understand the location and direction and the distance of the places. See, dear students, already you know that the earth is spherical in shape. There it is different to locate. The places. Therefore, it is different to locate the places. The direction calculate distance between places. In order to understand the relations between different places on the earth and their exact location, we have to understand their position, their distance from any fixed point, and also their exact direction. So, to know the position, distance and direction, east and west or north and south, a network of lines drawn on the globe, there are known as lines of latitudes and longitudes. I mean, there are the direction of east and west, north and south, a network of lines drawn on the globe. A network of lines drawn on globe. A network lines drawn on globe. They are called longitudes and latitudes. See, this is what we call a network of lines drawn on the globe. They are imaginary lines. They are known as lines of latitudes and longitudes. The horizontal lines or the lines of latitudes. The horizontal lines called as latitudes. The horizontal lines are called as latitudes. The horizontally drawn imaginary lines. These are all imaginary lines. Imaginary lines drawn on globe. See, they are called latitudes and longitudes. In the same way, the horizontally lines are called as latitudes. The horizontal lines are latitudes, and vertical lines. The vertical ones are the lines of longitudes. Vertical imaginary lines. Are called as longitudes. See, dear students, this is what we call vertical imaginary lines are called as longitudes. The horizontal imaginary lines are latitudes. See, these are all the lines intersect each other at right angles and create a network called grid or graticule. Create a network, that is what we call a grid. Or it has another name, graticule. Graticule. This is the network of these lines totally, or sum of what we call as grid diagram. See, dear students, these are the meaning of the latitude and latitudes. See, are you understand, dear students, the meaning of the all those things? Please write down the meanings of the latitudes and longitudes. See, dear students, latitudes and longitudes are imaginary lines drawn on globe. See, dear students, how do we understand the location, direction and distance of the places or between the places with the help of latitudes and longitudes? See, dear students, a network of lines drawn on a globe, they are called latitudes and longitudes. The horizontal lines are drawn on the globe, known as latitudes. And the vertical imaginary lines drawn on the globe, known as longitude. And totally, the network of these longitude and latitudes are called grid or graticule. See, these are all the several aspects about the meaning of the latitudes and longitudes. Now we know something about latitudes. Now we are going to know briefly about latitudes. See, dear students, latitude is an imaginary line which joins all the places which have the same angular distance north to south of the equator. They are called latitudes. joins all the places, which joins all the places which have the same angular distance, which have same angular distance, which has the same angular distance, north or south, north or south, north or south of the equator, north or south of equator. So this is what we call latitudes. So the latitudes are imaginary lines which joins all the places which have same angular distance, north or south of equator. See dear students, the equator is 0 degree, is the longest line latitude known as great circle. 0 degree equator. This is what we call as 0 degree equator. See, that is what we call the longest line of the earth. This is the longest line of the earth. 0 degree equator is the longest line of equator, longest line of latitude. See, this is what we call 0 degree equator is the longest line of latitude, and it is known as great circle. It is known as great circle. Is known as great circle, and it is equal to circumferences of the earth, and other lines of latitudes are of shorter length. Another latitudes are of shorter length. The length of lines of latitude decreases with the distance from the equator. All lines of latitudes are circles and parallel to equator. Therefore, lines of latitude are called as parallel of latitude. There are 90 degrees of latitude of each side of the equator. Of north and south are points. North or south are the points. This is the north pole point and here south pole point. And including equator, totally there are 181 latitudes, including the equator on the globe. The ground distance between 2 degrees latitudes is 110.04 kilometers. 110.4 kilometers. That was the distance between 2 degrees of latitudes. The ground distance. The ground distance between 2 degrees of latitude is 110.4 kilometers. And dear students, there are several important latitudes are there. There are important latitudes. Important latitudes. See dear students, there are totally 7 important 0 degree latitude. That is equator. That is equator or great circle. Or great circle. See, this is what we call the equator or great circle. And another one is 23.5 degree north latitude. 23.5 degree north latitude. 23.5 north latitude is called as Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer. That is 23.5 degree north latitude. North 23.5 degree north latitude called as Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer. And another one is 23.5 degrees south latitude. 23.5 degree south latitude called as Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Capricorn. That is called 23.5 degree south latitude. That is called as Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Capricorn. See, that is the third important latitude. And fourth one is 66.5 north latitude. 66.5 degree north latitude. That is fourth one. 66.5 degree north latitude. That is called as Tropic of Arctic Circle. That is called as Arctic Circle. Arctic Circle. That is called as Arctic Circle. Arctic Circle. And fourth one is 66.5 degree. 66.5 south latitude. 66.5 south latitude. 66.5 south latitude. That is called as Antarctic Circle. Antarctic Circle. That is called as Antarctic Circle. Here comes 66.5 degree south latitude. That is called as Antarctic. Antarctic Circle. And another one is 90 degree north. 90 degree north. 90 degree north latitude. 90 degree north latitude. That is called as North Pole. North Pole. See, here shows 90 degree latitude called as North Pole. In the same way, 90 degree in south. 90 degree latitude in south latitude. is called as south pole. 90 degrees south latitude, that is called as south pole. That is called as south pole. See dear students, these are all several important latitudes. See here, I have drawn on the globe. These are all called as 7 important latitudes. Parallels of latitudes. See number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So there are totally 7 important latitudes. See dear students, please write down all the points and the figure what you seen on the blackboard. Okay. See latitudes. Latitudes are imaginary lines which joins all the places which have same angular distance north or south of the equator. And 0 degree equator is the longest line of latitude, that is called as great circle. That is called as 0 degree equator or a great circle. See here is a picture of globe where marked several important latitudes on that. See, observe that number 1 is 0 degree latitude, that is called as equator or a great circle, that is the longest latitude in the lines of the latitudes. And the second one is 23.5 degree north latitude, that is called as Tropic of Cancer. And the third one is 23.5 south latitude, that is called as a Tropic of Capricorn. And fourth one is 66.5 degree north latitude, that is Arctic Circle. And the fifth one is 66.5 degree south latitude, that is Antarctic Circle. And the sixth one is the 90 degree north latitude, that is called as North Pole. And the last latitude is 90 degree south latitude, that is called as South Pole. See dear students, all the latitudes are drawn on the picture of blackboard. See. See, there are 7 important latitudes are there. Please go through all those things and write down all the 7 important latitudes in your notebook. See, number 1 is 0 degree latitude. It is called as equator or a great circle. And second one is 23.5 north latitude, called as Tropic of Cancer. And the third 23.5 south latitude, called as Tropic of Capricorn. 66.5 north latitude, called as Arctic Circle. And the 66.5 south latitude, called as Antarctic Circle. And the 90 degree north latitude, called as North Pole. And the last one, 90 degrees south latitude, called as South Pole. See, these are all the important latitudes. These are all the important latitudes we can see on the globe. See, dear students, each on the ground distance of each latitudes is 110.4 kilometers. 110.4 kilometer, that was the distance between latitudes on the ground. See, these are all the several aspects of latitudes and longitudes. Please write down all those things. Dear students, please write down all the points in your note. So, you all understand about the aspects of latitudes, isn't it? See, these are the imaginary lines drawn on the globe, or it is called as a network of lines drawn on globe. They are called longitudes and latitudes. See, dear students, after the completion of latitudes, now we can move to longitudes. Now we are going to learning longitudes. Longitudes. See, that is what we call longitudes. Dear students, longitudes also imaginary lines that intersect equator at right angle joining the north and south are called as longitudes. Longitudes are imaginary lines. Longitudes are imaginary lines that intersect equator at equator at right angle joining the right angle joining the equator at right angle joining the north and south, joining the north and south are called as longitudes. See, dear students, longitudes are imaginary lines that intersect equator at right angle joining the north and south part of the globe. They are called as longitudes. See, dear students, on the globe, longitudes are shown as series of semicircle that run from pole to pole passing through the equator. All lines of longitude are the equal length. Lines of longitude are called meridians. Lines of longitude called as meridians. Dear students, lines of longitude called as meridians. Here, dear students, meridian means what? Yes, the lines of longitude. So it means it has two different terms. One is merid, another one is diem. Merid and diem. There are two terms, different meaning. Okay. See here, merid means mid. Merid means mid, madhyana. Merid means mid, madhyana. And diem means day. Meridian means day. Both are jointly pronounced that meridian. So it means all the places along the same meridian of longitudes experiences noon or midday at the same time. Experiences noon or midday at the same time. That is what we call meridians. And the meridian passing through Greenwich, that is in England. Greenwich meridian. Greenwich, England. Greenwich, England has been chosen as prime meridian. It has been chosen prime meridian. Prime meridian. Yes, ones, please listen this. The Greenwich in England were passing prime meridian. It has to be called as prime meridian of the world. And it marked as 0 degree longitude. It marked as 0 degree longitude. 0 degree longitude. That is 0 degree longitude. There are 180 of longitudes to the east of Greenwich and 180 to west. It means east 180 and west 180. East 180 longitudes are there. West there are 180 longitudes. See. Thus there are 360 longitudes are there. There are 360 longitudes are there. There are totally 360 longitudes are there. Dear students, the zone between the prime meridian and 180 east longitude is called as eastern hemisphere. This is what we call eastern hemisphere. And this is western hemisphere. See, the opposite zone is called as western hemisphere. The distance between two consecutive longitudes decrease gradually with the distance from the equator. This is because meridians of longitude coverage at two poles. On the other equator, the distance between two consecutive meridians is 111 kilometers. 111 kilometers. That was the distance on ground. The distance between meridian and ground is 111 kilometers. See, this is what we call as the longitudes. So, dear students, I hope that you all understand about the meaning and several aspects of longitudes. Please write down all those things on your notebook. See, longitudes are imaginary lines which joins all the places which have the same angular distance north or south of the equator. See, the imaginary lines that intersect equator angle joining the north and south are called as longitudes. On the globe, longitudes are shown as series of semicircles drawn from one pole to pole passing through the equator. All lines of longitude are equal length. Lines of latitudes are called as meridians. Here meri means mid, dian means day. Meridian means midday. It means lines of longitude called as meridians because all the places along the same meridian of longitude experiences noon or midday at the same time. So the meridian passing through Greenwich, it is in England, has chosen as prime meridian. It is marked as a 0-degree longitude. There are of 180 of longitudes to east Greenwich and 180 to the west. Thus there are 360 longitudes are there. The zone between the prime meridian and 180 east longitude is called as eastern hemisphere, and the opposite zone is called as western hemisphere. So the distance between two consecutive longitude decreases gradually with distance from the equator. This is because the meridians of longitude coverage at two poles on the equator. The distance between two consecutive meridians is 111 kilometers. See, these are all the several aspects of latitudes and longitudes. Okay, dear students, there are another aspects in the same subunit called as longitude and time. Under that, where we go through the local time, standard time, time zones, and some other aspects are going to be discussed on tomorrow's class. Now I am stopped here because you all understand very nicely and simply go through all those things. If you have any doubts, please ask me later. Okay.